Welcome to my presentation on incorporating special needs students into the classroom curriculum. What is social justice? Social justice is equity and fairness between human beings. It works on the universal principles that guide people in knowing what is right and what is wrong. This is also about keeping a balance between groups of people in a society or a community. We advance social justice when we remove barriers that people face because of age, gender, race, religion, culture, or disability. Why is social justice something teachers should be mindful of? As lecturers in an undergraduate teacher education program, we aim to encourage students to engage critically in and with the world in which they live and work. We consider that, for educators generally, and teachers in particular, such a critical capacity is vital. Broadly put, education is not simply imparting knowledge about things. It is inherently politically process that actively works for certain ends or futures over other possibilities. For us, one such end is social justice, where education is directed towards the attainment of a better, more open and humanly possible world. We agree with Aries in his assertion that education and schooling are contested arenas of both hope and struggle. How does incorporating special needs students into a curriculum relate to social justice? The issue is ensuring that special needs students are incorporated into a classroom curriculum at all times and not left behind or treated any different during their time in the classroom. This issue relates to social justice as it ensures fairness and equality between all peers within the classroom, regardless of their disability. How does incorporating students with special needs into the classroom curriculum impact on your ability to undertake your duties effectively? As a first year teacher, the workload is going to be huge without getting your head around the curriculum, but we always need to be mindful of all the students' needs regardless of our career level. Having special needs students within the classroom may at times be a challenge. We may at times focus more on these students, or we may choose not to incorporate these students into our classroom curriculum, but we need to ensure that all children within the classroom are treated fairly. This at times, if we are not mindful of them, may affect a teacher completing their duties fully, as they may be tired, stressed, confused, frustrated, or in general, worn down. How does incorporating special needs students into the classroom curriculum link to the professional standards? Incorporating special needs students into the curriculum links to the professional teaching standard 1, know the students and how they learn. What is the prevalence of incorporating special needs students into the curriculum in schools? When constructed broadly, intended outcomes of the general curriculum for students with low incidence disabilities do not differ essentially from those expected from all students. Community inclusion, with the opportunity to achieve a high quality of life, is the ultimate goal for all citizens. State curriculum frameworks in core content areas, local content opinions, and district-level visions and mission statements about stakeholders aspire for children all drive the general curriculum. Right down to the level of the community, school, the question is, how might the curriculum be assessed by students with disabilities? How can participation be accomplished and effective progress be ensured? Where specialised curricula and instructional practices might continue to be employed to address disability-specific needs, today the unique needs of students with disabilities must be understood in a broader context of the general curriculum. Curriculum and instructional practices are not easily separated conceptually one from the other. In the present context, curriculum is treated as content and instruction is meant as those teaching practices that engage students in curriculum. However, in reviewing the literature, disentangling the meaning of the instruction is meant as those teaching practices that engage in students in curriculum. However, in reviewing the literature, disentangling the meaning of the curriculum from instruction offers proves unwidely. While idea comes to classify students with disabilities according to category, in many instances curriculum and instructional practices can be applied more generally. Students with complex healthcare issues, significant developmental delay, and severe multi-disability requires approaches at often intense levels of support. Students who are blind, deaf-blind, and autistic may in some cases require the same degree of support, but they also require more specialised curriculum and teaching approaches. Additionally, such students may require specialised resources from related service providers. Specialised curriculum and teaching practices for facilitating access to the general curriculum are discussed for students who are blind, deaf-blind, and multiple disabled, followed by the generic curriculum and instructional practices that cut across the needs of students with more intense special needs. With the advent of Education for All, the Handicapped Children's Act of 1975, federal emphasis shifted from curriculum development to preparing and implementing individualised educational programs for students with disabilities. Heavily influenced by behaviourism, these individualised programs focused on remedial skills, prerequisites for progressive movement into the mainstream. Today's curriculum matters, but special education are not accustomed, neither by training nor by inclination, to plan programs following state curricular frameworks or core subjects areas. What do experts say about incorporating special needs students into the classroom curriculum, its impacts and symptoms, and how it can be addressed? Peer tutoring. Peer tutoring consists of an instructional strategy where two students work together on academic activity, with one student providing assistance, instruction and feedback to the other. Peer tutoring strategies and their variants have been demonstrated to be effective in producing improvements on on-task behaviour and maths performance, and in on-task behaviour and social interactions. Friendships. Inclusive classrooms are an excellent setting in which to evaluate and design interventions to promote friendship for students with disabilities. At the least, they provide these students with the opportunity to interact socially. Are there opposing points of view on the matter? If so, what are they and are they relevant? School curriculum can now be incorporated methods of reaching children of different learning styles, as well as allowing students to convey their ideas in a context that suits their needs. Whether it is a spreadsheet, a web page, or a multimedia presentation, it is creating meaning for and by individual students. With the use of proper assessment, such as electronic portfolios, learning logs, and teacher-student interviews, both teacher and students are able to let learning happen in the new and innovative ways. It no longer depends on test scores, but the process of asking the right questions, contacting the right sites or people, and putting it all together in a comprehensive display of learning. It is very easy for students to take information off the internet and call it their own. It is mandatory that teachers take the time to interview students, to review their portfolios, and to ask the questions of why and how. How do the students know that the information they have learned online is valid? Why do they think other students see the world in such a different way? It is an opportunity to truly create critical thinkers and learners. The other point of view is that some teachers do not believe that using ICT in the classroom is a sufficient way of learning and are fearful of bringing ICT into the classroom for high-level students, let alone special needs students. And they believe that the students get enough of ICT at home. Is there a consequence in terms of tackling the issue? If so, what? There is another mistake based on too narrow a definition which took me a while to catch on to. A school that is culturally progressive is not necessarily educationally progressive. An institution can be steeped in lefty politics and multigrain values. It can be committed to diversity, peace, and saving the planet, but remains strikingly traditional in its pedagogy. In fact, one can imagine an old-fashioned, poor-in-the-facts approach being used to teach lessons in tolerance or even radical politics. In summary, what are the key features of the approaches that can be taken to address the issue? Knowing and meeting the children's learning styles, working together with the students on incorporating their interests and strengths into the curriculum. Different learning styles are natural, linguistic or verbal, logical or mathematical, visual or spatial, bodily or kinesthetic. What strategies can you put in place to overcome the issue? During the lessons, try to incorporate I do, we do, you do. If some of the students do not understand, try to explain it in a different way. Teach the students not your lesson plans. If your lesson plans goes over to another lesson because you took more time explaining it to the students, then that is okay. Starting up and getting ready early. What is a learner's profile? Plans for individual students. Know the students' learning styles. Differentiation, aka differentiate instruction. Differentiating content. Setting up an inclusive classroom. Classroom climax. Teaching learning skills. General differentiation strategies. Specific differentiation strategies. Assisting with friendships and networks. Strategies for secondary school teachers. Friendships. Working with teacher assistants. Finding time for planning and collaboration. Negotiating more time. Teaming up with others. Contributing to change in whole school culture. Where to from here? Reflection on enjoying teaching. How do these strategies link back to the literature you reviewed? The strategies link back to the literature and the Australian Teaching Standard, as the Australian Professional Teaching Standards state that 1. Know the students and how they learn. Focus is 1.5. Differentiate teaching to meet the specific learning needs of students across a full range of abilities. This was linked back to know the students' learning styles and being able to meet them. The data, viewed from schools, local Why did you select some strategies over others? Some of the strategies I have selected over others are knowing the students' learning styles and meeting them, teaming the students with others, incorporating friendships amongst all children, reflecting and enjoying teaching students with special needs. I have tried and succeeded with the above 4 strategies within a classroom environment, but incorporating these strategies into the classroom, I have found that the classroom runs a lot smoother. What resources might you need? How would you go about assessing them? Once you know the students' learning styles, you should be able to incorporate the other strategies into the classroom curriculum with minimal resources. A computer in the Who are the key personnel that might assist you in this matter? Special needs teacher, head of department, deputy principal, principal, parents, OT, and speech therapist. What time frame would you require to undertake this plan? Each student will be different and require different time frames. I believe that this matter you could not put a time frame on. I would try to review them each term or make a term-to-term plan. Is there any sustained and ongoing upkeep needed? You should participate in as much professional development as possible, research as much as possible, as every child will be different. Some modules of professional development are individual, school-wide, group. Individual is a regular, curricular-based one-on-one session, deep level of understanding, dependent structure. School-wide is one time. How could you evaluate the success of your plan? Reflecting on the student's progress and your teaching practices. What are the strengths of this plan? The strengths of the plan is that there is adequate strategies to try and people to talk to about incorporating students into the class. The strategies are easy to achieve and that there is minimal resources that the teachers will need. Teachers will not have to change the curriculum, just their instructional practices to ensure students. What are the weaknesses? The weaknesses can be the confidence of the teacher and not having a special needs teacher to talk to, in some cases in rural and remote areas. To share your weakness is to make yourself vulnerable. To make yourself vulnerable is to show your strength. That every student is different, so the resources or information that they attain for students might not necessarily work for other students in the current classroom. What opportunities does the plan present for your students, your colleagues, your school and yourself? Some of the opportunities that this plan presents for students, your school, colleagues, if you are willing to share, and yourself is confidence, knowing that you are moving in the right direction for your students, reassurance that your students are receiving. What are the possible threats to the success of this plan? The possible threats are lack of confidence in the teacher, lack of support from parents or colleagues, behavioural problems, and lack of knowledge. What did you learn about yourself, your issue, and your profession? I have learned that incorporating basic life skills into the classroom are just as important as teaching the curriculum, ensuring that all students are given a go at the curriculum, either with help from their peers or a teacher, is just as effective. By using these strategies in the classroom, my confidence has been boosted by seeing the effects it has on the students. In what way did the action research cycle help or hinder the identification and development of the proposed rectification of the issue? Describe your approach to reflective practice as a beginning teacher. I have found that the action research cycle has helped me think deeply and conduct intense research on this issue, incorporating special needs students into the classroom curriculum. Thank you for watching my presentation on incorporating special needs students into the classroom curriculum. I hope you have learned as much as I have while doing the action research plan. Thank you.